For this lesson, we are talking about the properties of addition and multiplication and how it relates to algebra. So we've learned about these properties, and let's refresh on some of them really quickly. First, we have the identity properties of addition and multiplication. The identity property of addition would be if you add 0 to anything, it's going to be the other number, right? So whatever you're adding 0 to, it's going to be that number. So 2 plus 0 is 2. It's the identity of the other number. The identity property of multiplication is if you multiply any number by the number 1, it will be that other number. So like 3 times 1 is going to be 3. It's always going to be the identity of the number that is being multiplied by 1. You have the 0 property of multiplication, which says any number times 0 is 0. Okay. You also have the the commutative and the associative properties, and those work only with, remember, addition and multiplication. It does not work with subtraction and division. The commutative property rearranges the order. Okay, so it's saying maybe 8 plus 5 is the same as 5 plus 8, so it changes the order. And then the associative, that changes what is put into parentheses. Okay, so it's rearranging what is being placed in parentheses. Different problems could use one, they could use none, or they could use numerous of the properties we're learning about. Okay, so you always want to make sure what properties are being used. It could be multiple. So let's take a look at the first few. And these ones we need to say, is there a property that basically says this is true? Okay. Okay, and for number one, 64 plus 0 and 64. So is there something that says, okay, yes, that's true? Well, yes, there is. That would be the identity property of addition. Okay? That is the identity property of addition because 0 plus anything, or anything plus 0, is going to be that number. So 64 plus 0, yes, we know it is 64 because it's the identity property of addition. Next, for 2, this is 23 plus 4 and 4 plus 23. Okay, is there a property that says this is true, that this will always be true? Well, again, the answer is yes, because this is the commutative property of addition. It's saying that we can rearrange the order of an addition problem and it won't change the answer. For 3, this one is really similar to the last one. It says 8 divided by 2 and 2 divided by 8. But this time, the answer is no. And the reason for that is because the commutative property and the associative, these properties don't work with division, right? 8 divided by 2 is 4. 2 divided by 8 is not 4. It's 0.25 or 1/4. Okay, so those are not going to be the same. There is no property that says that those are the same. Okay, let's look at 4 and 5. Okay, now so this is where we start to add in some algebra. So, right, so it's 2 plus open parentheses x plus 4 close parentheses. And for this one, what the instructions say in your book, it's that you need to use the properties we've learned, and we need to eliminate the parentheses. Okay, so we're going to simplify this down and try to get it, as simple as possible without parentheses. So here we go. So what I'm going to use in your steps might look different than mine, okay, because you could use different properties and do it in different orders. But I'm going to use first, let's take one step at a time. I'm going to use the commutative property, and I'm going to rearrange the order I'm adding. So I'm going to put this 2 as the last thing instead of the first. Okay, so I'm using the commutative property of addition here. Next, let's use the associative property, and let's move it to x plus 4, but I want the parentheses to open here, plus 2, close parentheses. So now I've got x plus 4, or open parentheses, 4 plus 2, close parentheses. And then my last step, I'm just going to simplify. I'm going to simplify, and I'm going to get x plus 6. Okay, I'm just going to eliminate. I solved what was in parentheses, so I've eliminated the need for parentheses, and I get x plus 6. Okay, your answer may look different than this. Okay, your answer may look different because, remember, it's the commutative property and the associative property, which means that the orders could still be changed, right? I could write this, your answer could possibly look like this. And those are the same things because it's the commutative property. So remember, your answers might look a little different than mine. You might have taken different steps because there's not always just one direct route to get to the correct answer, okay? Now, this one here, we have W, or open parentheses, W times 12, close parentheses, times by 3. Well, here, let's just do, I'm going to use the associative property, and I'm going to change it to W times, open parentheses, 12 times 3, close parentheses. Okay? Well, I've used the associative here. I'm going to simplify this. It's going to get me 36 multiplied, and we have W. Okay? So this is my answer here. That eliminated the parentheses. In algebra, sometimes people prefer to have the constant or the coefficient here in front of the variable. So you could also say, well, 36 multiplied by W, right? That's also the same thing. These are the same thing, and that's using the commutative property, okay? So remember, make sure you understand what your goal is. Understand that there could be multiple answers for this, right? But then you just need to make sure you're utilizing the commutative property, the associative property, identity properties, zero properties, whatever properties you're learning about, make sure you're utilizing those and that you understand how to. Good luck.